What's up everybody, Joseph here. In this video, we're going to take a look at the grammar that is on page 10 of the book. Simple present WH questions and statements. Before we begin, we're going to make a quick review of when and why we use simple present tense. We use simple present tense for things that happen regularly or for permanent things. Like for example, you exercise every day. That's something that happens regularly. You exercise every day, you exercise regularly. I need to eat. This can be something that is, this can be said as something that's permanent. I need to eat. I need to eat to survive. So it's a permanent thing. But it can also be something of the moment, uh, but regular. I need to eat right now. Something that's a reality in the moment. Uh, some notes. Simple present statements with be are also simple present. Sentences with be in simple present are also simple present. We explain them as a different topic because be is a verb that has a lot of uses. Some very basics. Other verbs have one or two uses. Others even have 15 uses like get. But none is as important as be. An example here. I am happy. I am happy. This is a reality of the moment. I am happy. Or I am happy. It's like a reality of your everyday life. It's a regular thing that's with you. That's a reality with you. I am happy. But this is with verb be. So even though we explain them as different topics, they are both simple present. Okay, let's continue. The structure for simple present positive statements. Right, statements. We have seen this before. The structure is subject plus the verb plus the complement. For example, I work at the bank. You play video games. Orlando visits his family. She goes to the salon. They need food. Um, Remember, we have regular verbs and irregular verbs in the simple present. Differently from the past tense, the simple tense, the simple present tense, only have four irregular verbs. These are do, go, have, and be. The regular verbs, most verbs, you only have to add an S. Well, we're going to explain that later. So both are conjugated when the verb is in the third person singular. The third person singular, he, she, it, or a name. For example, this is the verb with something different from the third person singular. I want ice cream. I want ice cream. The verb is in its normal form. But here, with he, the verb changes. The verb is conjugated. He wants ice cream. You have 1 hour. Again, the verb is in its normal form. This is an irregular verb. Laura has 1 hour. So the verb changes. Since it's irregular, it has a different form from the norm. We're gonna explain that later. They go to school. She goes to school. Again, the verb changes with the third person singular, which is she. Also remember that to conjugate regular verbs, you only need to add an S to most of them. For some, there are other rules. For reference, please look at the notes of the first book on how to conjugate verbs depending on the ending of the verb. Here are some examples. You live in my sal. Martha lives in my sal. The verb changes. You only have to add an S. We watch TV. She watches TV. In this case, you have to add es to the verb. This is for this kind of verb that ends with ch. I study every day. He studies every day. Add es and change the y to I. Again, please, for references, check the rules that we explained on the first book. And this is and for these examples with irregular verbs, these have their own way of conjugating. That's why they're called irregular. They do not change like the other verbs, adding an s or an es in some cases. Okay? So here we have the structure for simple present negative statements. The structure is like this: subject plus do or does. Let me write that here. Subject plus do or does plus not plus the normal verb plus the complement. The subject can be pronoun or a name. The auxiliary in this case is do or does, depending on the subject. Not the normal verb, the normal form of the verb, not the verb conjugated. In the negative form, the verb is not conjugated. Plus the complement. Here are some examples. We, the subject, do the auxiliary, in this case, not. Want, the verb, the normal form. Complement, fast food. Now, another example. He does, the auxiliary is the one that changes in this case. He does not want. Notice that the verb stays the same in both ways. The verb in this case stays the same. Fast food. Remember, do changes to does when we use the third person singular. Also, the verb does not change. What I explained here, the verb does not change. Also remember, do not is the same as don't. Does not is the same as doesn't. Example, you don't eat very well. Ramona doesn't eat very well. Again, the structure, the subject, the auxiliary, not in the contraction. Eat, the verb, very well, the complement. Ramona, the subject, does, the auxiliary in this case because it's the third person, not in the contraction. Eat, very well. Another example, they, the subject, don't care, the verb, the auxiliary is do in this case, and the complement. He, the subject, does, the auxiliary, change it because we are using the third person, the verb, and the complement. Okay, let's continue. Let's now take a look at the simple present WH questions structure. The structure for this these questions is the WH word, the auxiliary do or does, the subject, the normal verb, and the complement. Some examples. Why do they like banana? The WH word, the auxiliary, in this case is do, they, the subject, like, the verb banana, the complement. Why does he like banana? It's the same, but we're using the third person singular here. Why does the auxiliary, he, the subject, like, the verb banana, the complement. What do you do? What do you do? The WH word, the auxiliary, the, the subject, and the complement. And you might think, we're using do 2 times? Well, it's because we always use do or does as an auxiliary. Always. Always use do or does as an auxiliary. But do as a verb here, we are asking about what the person does. So we must use do in this case as the verb to. Here, take a look. What does she do? Does changes, and the main verb in this case is do. Do doesn't change. So let's continue. Where do we need to go? Where does it need to go? Where do we need to go? Where does it need to go? The same structure. So this is the end of the video. I will see you on the next one.